Hello everyone, Pineapple here with an exciting story. As if you haven't already read the title or seen the thumbnail, today we're looking at the first of the 13th Doctor adventures by Big Finish, Vampire Weekend by Tim Foley. This marks the first appearance of 13 and Yaz in Big Finish, and this is actually a pretty great start, on its own, but also at fitting in between Revolution of the Daleks and Flux pretty well. It's interesting that this, both by writing and acting, feels very much like a good balance of a 13th era story, except it's written fairly well. That aside, Tim Foley does really well, but we have a lot of connections back to the Chibnall era, a title referencing music, much like Arachnids in the UK. It's woke, with a non-binary character, and gives me what I always wanted from this Doctor companion duo, some deeper characterization, many scenes exploring their feelings, without being untrue to 13's dismissive and avoidant nature, and having lovely references to the show's history. It's like If You Can Hear Me was good. Which really just means, can you hear me without...
I'm still quite socially awkward.
Yeah, that's right, I like that episode apart from that one scene. You'll never take me alive. So with that tangent out of the way, we can get into the characters. Of course, starting with the return of Jodie Whittaker as the 13th Doctor. Jodie is pretty on form here, and while I love 13 like all the other Doctors, she is near the bottom of the list at most times. But whether it's the writing or the balance in the studio, 13 keeps her hyperactive and socially awkward personality without going to the uncomfortable and frustrating extremes. Keeping aspects such as her being avoidant and distant with Yaz, but also showcasing how humorous she can be with decent gags. Like carrying around the chickens Ian and Barbara, yelling at them like a maniac.
You lot, play nicely!
And just in general character interactions. All I'm missing, and a problem I frequently had with her era, is her inability to bring the same gravitas in moments as other Doctors. Like, I never bought that she would be capable of the things others had, and in a couple of moments, when she tried it, it felt more like a child getting fed up and pushing you over. In fact, she did that to the Master. Overall, she tends to be on the happier side, and while good, I just need some more variance, and Big Finish is a great place to see some more of that. Next, we have Mandip Gill reprising her role as Yaz, and Yaz is definitely not one of my favourite companions. On the whole, 13's companions aren't my favourite, but the ones I do like lean towards the goofy older men more. Graham probably having the best character arc of the four, but Yaz's story always felt mishandled, whether in her relation to Ryan and Graham, her romantic feelings to the Doctor, her capability. Through her time on the show, she often felt messy and sometimes underused. But just like 13, while not amazing, the writing and performance here alleviate a lot of those criticisms. Her status as an ex-cop used well as it's a murder mystery, although that probably could have been a bit more prevalent. Her feelings for the Doctor are lightly and well touched upon, and while I'm not convinced her friends will ever appear again, seeing how she interacts with them is really interesting considering pretty much the only people we see her with in series 11 and 12 are her immediate family, and I don't think they even appear post Season 12. Well, I think her little sister was in a flashback once, but apart from that. Next we have Yaz's friends, and while performed well and nothing really negative in script, I guess they all just felt a little one note. Anna Critchlow plays two characters impressively different in delivery. I never noticed that they were the same. First, Kat, who is taken out of the story almost immediately, used more for Daryl's character moments than hers, and Zoya, who fits the character in the horror movie that makes stupid choices for no reason other than feeling insecure. Both are fine, but none of them really stood out to me at all. They serve their roles and that's about it. Just kinda underwhelming. Next in the friends is Mason, played by Jeremy Yang Jones, and apart from one bit where he's given truth serum and talks about cheating and fancying Gina's, the bride-to-be, as the episode takes place at a hen do, husband, he's just a moody bitch for the rest of it. No real characterization to speak of. Daniel Wolford plays the titular vampire and the last of Yaz's friends, Daryl, and thanks to Kat being taken out early, their dynamic with Yaz is probably the best of the side characters, even if not even close to being worth writing home about. Daryl has come out as non-binary while Yaz was away, and that causes drama between them and Kat. As well as some nice emotional moments with Yaz as she regrets not being there for them. Not amazing, but the best of a mediocre bunch. Lastly is funnily only known as Gina's mum, played by Mandy Simmons, who was really fun in performance, had a nice if underused emotional background, but apart from the intrinsic gag of her character, she's almost as one note as the others. So while all these characters are decent and have good moments, they could have been a lot better. But I'm sure they don't really drag the story down, just don't do it any favours. We start the story from Yaz's perspective as her, Daryl and Kat travel to the Hindu, and once they arrive we get our short characterizing introductions to the characters, and Boo Boo the dog, with some foreshadowing and setting up the great joke that no one remembers Gina's mum's name. Although in the beginning the score is a bit obnoxious, sounding like someone tried to play Tom Petty's Free Falling and got stuck at the intro, deciding to loop it until they remember the lyrics, forgetting again, going around the loop again. It's not bad, but even on my first listen I found it a bit odd. Things get a bit rocky immediately, but of course things aren't chaotic enough without 13 turning up.
Doctor! Yes! What are you doing here? Why'd you have chickens? He said it was a hen do.
Taking us into the Chibnall era credits, and boy is it satisfying to start hearing newer themes put in Big Finish. Yaz is hesitant, with Boo Boo running around, supposedly after the chickens, and some gay panic. 13 gets some cute moments, and it turns out the bride-to-be isn't even coming, thanks to Zoya's poor planning. Which, of course, after this little moment of self-realization and guilt, she will immediately shove the blame back to Yaz for the rest of the story. Yay! They find a force field shielding the area, and Kat is taken out first, starting the methodical murder mystery theme. Kat found babbling and unconscious, with 2 very specific bite marks on her neck that the doctor manages to heal with eggs, deepening the connection between vampires and chickens that I never knew I wanted. Twilight would be a far more entertaining franchise if the wolves just started piffing eggs at the vampires.
So, what now? Doctor?
Now, it's egg time.
Sorry. Here we go. Hang on, not this one. The Sonic hard-boiled it.
Yaz confronts the doctor and 13 reveals the vampire in the room. 13, of course, dropping a whole load of Time Lord / vampire lore onto us as she explains she's gone through time and space with the chickens hunting the vamp. The force field an involuntary TARDIS mechanic to keep the vampire in. As long as they beat the vampire before dawn, everyone will be safe from conversion, so they start investigating. The group are starting to get paranoid, the mention of vampires only makes everything weirder, but the number of life signs is consistent with everyone we know, meaning they're playing a big game of Among Us and need to find the imposter. That was a terrible analogy, I'll let myself out.
Toast. A little piece of toast.
Boo Boo the dog is utterly destroyed, leading 13 to conference with Ian.
I agree. Totally hear ya. Good idea. You go find Barbara, keep searching the grounds, and I'll stick with the house.
And Mason is taken out next, found babbling about his infidelity and fancying of Gina's soon-to-be, leading to funny reactions, and more infighting. Yaz and Daryl share a nice scene while they're freaking out. It's pretty nicely handled, but the mystery is still kept up as Yaz is attacked, and 13 has to fend the vampire off with eggs. Zoya is acting suspiciously, and the power goes out, leading her, the TARDIS team, and Gina's mum to head into the basement. Gina's mum is sadly abandoned, while Yaz and 13 have a nice moment, and thanks to its follow-up, balancing 13's avoidance well, making the moment less frustrating as often scenes like this in her era could feel really stagnating. They're forced to escape via dumbwaiter, only to find an already bitten Zoya panic baking, admitting she's out of her depth and Yaz could have done the weekend better, only not picked due to her travels. That leaves Daryl to be the vampire, but they're already attacked, and of course they get the self-accusation moments, but this usual trope integrating their talk from before is concise but pretty emotional as well. Usually moments like this can be frustrating, but it was handled pretty well, short and sweet. All the clues come together as the door to the room is slowly opened, Boo Boo having faked his death, and is in fact the truth vampire. A fight breaks out and 13 is injured, but it's enough to get a sample. So they leg it to the TARDIS, apparently in the middle of a maze on the ground, just because. Yeah, that really could have done with some foreshadowing. I do not recall them mentioning the maze once. Maybe at the beginning, but I don't think so. While I hoped there would be a little more, 13's involuntary truths are done pretty well, and eventually they make it, thanks to Ian's revenge, Barbara having been killed earlier. 13 leaves Yaz and takes off without her, Yaz keeping the vampire at bay as it monologues and intimidates, revealing it's been time travelling thanks to a mysterious being. Can't tell if they're called the tallest or the tourist, but TARDIS Wiki says tourist, so I'll go with that, which I assume is the start of a story arc. Hopefully, unlike The Boss, it'll pay off. Turns out the reason 13 left Yaz was so she could distribute the cure throughout the force field. Everyone all nice and dandy and the truth vampire wasted. unexpected. The whole thing is covered up really funnily with some memory loss, 13 getting Ian a place to be, as she convinces Gina's mum she always had a chicken as a pet, replacing her memories of Boo Boo, which is both a little horrifying but also lovely. With the return of the Discount Tom Petty soundtrack. Also, side note, am I clowning or does the way 13 play off Yaz saying, "Rest in peace, Barbara"? Seems like 13 does a whole ignoring the past and pain thing as she immediately deflects from thinking about Barbara and Ian.
Sweet. Rest in peace, Barbara. Yeah.
In the end, everyone is on better terms. Well, actually, I don't recall Mason getting any payoff, as 13 pops out to grab Gina, ending the episode. So that was Vampire Weekend, and yeah, I had some hang-ups, the characters were a tad underdeveloped, Mason most of all. The score was a bit in your face, and while the additions to Vampire and Gallifreyan lore aren't bad, it is kind of funny to imagine Rassilon commanding a bow ship with a chicken under his arm. There's a decent murder mystery, and while not amazing, both 13 and Yaz get moments better than a lot of their era's screen time. So this is a really strong start. And if we get as good or better, I think we're on the track to 6ing 13. Hopefully exploring 13 and Yaz's relationship, or lack thereof, better. And as said before, while not here, I hope 13 will get some darker moments later on. But this was a nice safe start. So for pretty good but not amazing, I'm pretty comfortable giving the 13th Doctor Adventures, Episode 1, Vampire Weekend by Tim Foley a solid 7 out of 10. I definitely recommend it, it's a good opener. But it doesn't really stand out in quality among Big Finish's catalogue. Thank you everybody for watching my review of the first of the 13th Doctor Adventures, Vampire Weekend. And I'm just now realising I don't think I specified what the Truth of Vampire is, or why it's a Truth of Vampire and not an actual vampire. But anyway, please like the video if you liked it, comment down below if you wish, consider subscribing to the channel, and if you do, ring the notification bell so that you're told every single time that I make an upload. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next review. Bye!
Toast. A little piece of toast. Because there's so much to choose from. There's brown bread, white bread, all sorts of wholemeal bread. It comes in funny packages with writing on the side.